let's talk about dropped off. So, if you watched the previous video, you know I had to help my mother at 2 years old by calling in an ambulance to get her out of the oven where she had fallen in a drug-induced seizure. So, clearly, that does not a parent make. So, I was dropped off. I was dropped off at my grandmother's house. And for the next 9 years, that's where I stayed. And it was awesome. I learned how to cook and sew and become a lady. My grandmother was a old Southern lady from New Orleans. I'll tell y'all that story later on. And more than most of the things that I can do, I learned from her. And I will forever miss her and be thankful to her that I was given her, even for the short time that I had her. And then 8 years later, after I was dropped off, I was picked up. My mama had came in and out in those years, but where she was living more than most of the time, I don't know. So if you're asking, know that I'm asking too. So if you happen to find out, you go ahead and you let me know. But when I was in the 3rd grade, she came back. And we then moved into a large and scary house deeper in the hood in LA than I was already living. Because in the time that she was gone, she had also found Jesus. Excellent. Fantastic. And she had taken a friend or a mother in the Lord, as she was often referred to. We moved into this creepy old house. But even though she had found the Lord, still hadn't lost crack. So that lady started to get fed up. And so we lived there for a while. And that lady was traveling throughout the state, preaching or pastoring or whatever they were doing. And at one point, she decided to go to Washington, D.C. And my mother, brokenhearted and lonely because her pastor is gone, decided one day to take me out of school, get on a bus from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. And for 9 months in Washington, D.C., I was dropped off yet again. This time in a different way. So we arrive in D.C. Woo! We're going to see the sights. We're playing tourists, and that's fun. Okay, great. And then we get a house we get a room in someone's house. A lovely old lady. I still don't know her name. But she saw something. After a while. So at first we're going out and everything looks perfectly normal. She's renting a room to a young lady and her daughter. All makes sense. No problem. But what she notices is that the young lady is gone. A lot, but the child is not. So for more than 9 months, or at least I know absolutely 9 months, I was in a room in an old lady's house in Washington, D.C. by myself more than most of the time. At night, she would return, my mother, that is, with junk food, of course. Here's some McDonald's. And in the morning, she'd get up and go again. She brought me once or twice to these church experiences or whatever they were. And I cried because I was like, this is creepy shit. I don't know what this is, but I can't do it. And again, I was annoying. And I was in imposition because none of it made sense. So consequently, I was dropped off. Until the old lady said, wait, something don't make no sense. She figured out a way to call and contact my family in California. And my aunts said, simply, bring that child home. And I came out of the room and back to California. And I was dropped off.